get when you cross a know-it-all newspaper columnist with an awkward, unsophisticated everyman.
Yeah. Well, I'm just not sure about that right now.
Welcome to Couch and the Rube.
Welcome to Couch and the Rube. Sponsored, presented, brought to you by our friends at Skymint Premium Cannabis, inspiring people to do better, play better, be better, bet better every damn day of their life. Just feel better. Go to skymint.com for location information and specials. Chances are you live within 30 minutes of a Skymint. And our Monday morning show, presented by our friends Mark and Jay at North Coast Wealth Management. Mark and Jay are here for your investment questions. If you want to get your money right in this new year, Mark and Jay at North Coast Wealth Management can help. Give them a call, 248-626-2000, 248-626-2000. Shoot them an email at info@northcoastwm.com, and you can learn more at northcoastwm.com. Jason, how you doing, man?
Never going to financially recover from this.
What's up, buddy? Great football weekend, not for my pocketbook, but yay.
What did you have
great
wrong?
Games. Well, I had the Chiefs, and what really pissed me off is that you and Harry both bet against me and took the Bengals plus 7.5. And with the bravado that you both did it, I so wanted to text you, both of you, when they were up 21-3. But of course, as a seasoned veteran of gambling, I know not to do that because it's not good, because there's a lot of football game left. But I did not think the Chiefs were going to absolutely blow that game yesterday.
Yeah, they very much Lions'd it. I mean, it was unbelievable.
How can you not come out with the second half and do nothing with that offense?
Yeah.
And people want to give Eric Bieniemy this job and all this shit. It's like Andy Reid blew it again. But hey, Matthew Stafford, everybody, going to the Super Bowl. Who's ready for 2 solid weeks of Kelly Stafford podcast talk?
I got to see Scott Mitchell play twice yesterday, and Patrick Mahomes and Jimmy Garoppolo, and then I got to see Matt Stafford. This was pretty cool. So,
how dare you say that? What did Stafford do?
No, he was
besides take his team to the MF and Super Bowl.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not knocking Stafford. I'm saying I'm knocking the other two guys, Garoppolo,
Jimmy G. I tell you what, that guy. People are going to be clamoring for Jimmy G's services next year, and I don't think that's the guy.
No,
I don't know. I know he's playing through injuries, but man,
if you want to lose in the fourth quarter, that's your guy.
Good Lord.
Mahomes was weird because he obviously had some. He just looked out of sorts in the second half. We don't usually see that. He's done enough to sort of get a pass, but the bottom line is he's won one Super Bowl, and I'm not saying you're supposed to win more than that before you're like 26, but eventually you're the team that's sort of has all these bells and whistles and doesn't quite get it done when you're there.
With that offense, to only win one Super Bowl so far.
Right.
Come on.
Because I mean, here's the deal. Mahomes has another decade in the league.
Sure.
But Kelsey and Tyreek Hill are going to slow down soon. And so you have a window. Not that you can't find other guys. There'll be other iterations of the Chiefs. Anyway, yeah, no, it was another great freaking weekend. I didn't do that poorly gambling wise. I was on the Bengals, little sprinkle on the money line too, which I loved. Little sprinkle on the live money line right at halftime, which was extremely excellent.
Yeah,
and
happy for you.
And then there was a Michigan game Saturday that was incredibly entertaining, and I think. Well, we'll get into that here with our hot takes. We've got our hot takes and your hot takes. You want me to go first?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. I'll start with the Michigan State-Michigan football or basketball game. Like, usually, feel-good home games don't have a lot of meaning. They just don't, because we've seen them a million times. Crowd goes crazy. Team starts hitting shots. Other team gets blitzed. One team wins, your home team wins, and like that doesn't mean squat on the road. It's not your truth. There's nothing about it that really carries over other than you feel really good for a day. However, there were things in this particular game for Michigan State that I think were important. It's not that they'll carry over this week at Maryland and Rutgers, which, by the way, we'll have to talk later about shows during the week. Looking at the snow forecast from Chris Eastlick,
I love it when Eastlick just posts that right in the morning, just to get your morning started off right.
So there's one flight a day from D.C. to Lansing.
You're screwed.
And Wednesday, I do not think I'm getting back into town. We'll have to see how that works out. But
Graham live from the airport.
Yeah, we'll see if I ever make it home before the Rutgers game. I might just go straight to Piscataway from D.C. But so none of that carries over necessarily on the road per se. But if you want to see the makings of an MSU team that can win big and a group that can win big. I'm not just talking this season, but perhaps, with the right draw and the right run this year. But more overall, we saw it Saturday. Like it's Malik Hall looking like that at stretches. It's a Malik Hall, Max Christie, and probably Jaden Akins is the third part of that trio a year from now. But when you see Max Christie a day after or 4 days after, a game after, he is just awful at Illinois. Come out early, when if he doesn't come out early playing that well, they're in trouble because they were down 14-8 and they did not have a lot else going for them. And then you see him late in the game, and I missed this during the game, sort of talking smack when Michigan's talking smack, saying, you're down 15. What do you like? That edge, that little.
Did you guys think that Max Christie didn't talk on the court at all? Or?
No, but
I saw some people surprised by that.
He sounds like this innocent little freshman, but he
looks that way. Yeah,
yeah, he's got some stuff in him, and I think that's a really good sign for Michigan State, is you want a player to become a go-to guy moving forward and all those things. Again, he's got to do it consistently. He's going to have to do it on the road. There are going to be other big moments, but you saw it in a spot that they needed it. You saw a guy like Malik Hall sort of embrace the go-to role, a guy who's got to get buckets. And he did it late in the Illinois game. He kind of forgot about it early. He didn't play enough. I think his teammates and his coaches screwed that up at Illinois a little bit. He was really good at Wisconsin. You saw Hoggard. Again,
he's the guy, man.
Well, I don't know if he's the guy, but what he's got to do him. He can't have the the Illinois game between two games.
Yeah.
But he looked really good. And the point guard situation, I think, is going to be fine, because ultimately between Hoggard's development and what I think Tyson Walker even showed some flashes in that game, what those two become, you got a guy coming in. Jaden Akins can play the position eventually if you need that. Like, they're going to be okay there, and I think that's the most important thing. But I think what you saw from Marcus Bingham and his ability to bother and make Hunter Dickinson really work for his shots, you really saw MSU. Joey Hauser played well, and you can't count on that every game, obviously. But what I'm saying is you really saw what MSU was when all of its parts are going in the same game. Not at the same time. Max Christie was great early and carried them when they needed it. Then it was Malik Hall, got them to that first half. Then they got great point guard play, first from Tyson Walker, then from Hoggard, and they were just terrific collectively in the second half, right? But you see what it can be, and that's why it had meaning. The other reason it had meaning is this is a weird MSU team that hadn't had the feel-good home game yet, because they hadn't had any spurt ability. We hadn't seen them be able to take a 4 to 6 point lead and bust it out to 13, 15, 18, because they hadn't had that sort of oomph to their offense. They hadn't had that sort of and all of a sudden we see that. You see even with veterans like a guy like Gabe Brown struggling, and I'm not, when I talk about Gabe Brown, I don't know what his decision will be after this year, whether he'll come back or not. But what I mean is, for this year at least, you see a guy hit a big three in terms of pushing the lead out and putting Michigan away late. Pro-range three. I mean, he starts to get it going. You just see what that team can be when it all goes. Now, we saw at Illinois for 31 minutes what it looks like when none of it goes, and I still don't think you can trust them. But I think this was the first time we've seen it, everybody sort of, for a little while at least, within one game at their best, and you see how difficult they can be to play with. Michigan is not a bad team talent-wise. I think they're an NCAA tournament team. I think they're going to wind up in the field. I know a lot of people don't think that right now.
There's no point guard.
Well, the point guard is a little bit of an issue, but I think they've got enough there that they'll get enough quality wins at least to be on the bubble. That's not a win over nothing, because you're also beating a rival and you're beating a team that pound for pound talent-wise stacks up with you pretty well, and you're outplaying them. So I thought there was a meaning to a game that often there is no meaning to in terms of a feel-good home win, because we saw a Michigan State team that we're watching step-by-step grow and sometimes take steps back. And now this week becomes, you go to Maryland. Not a great team, but a team that's won a couple games, that's playing a lot better, that wasn't supposed to be bad. It's got some veterans. It's got some young talent.
Danny Manning coaching.
And pound for pound isn't much worse than you. And then you go to a Rutgers team that's got a lot of veterans, and you play in a difficult place to play. So, again, I think this is a week. If you split, you're happy. But you find out a lot more. What you want more than wins, I mean, you probably want to split wins at least, but you don't want to see the Illinois first 31 minutes. You want to see them show up twice. And you want to see some of the attributes that you saw in that feel-good home win start to carry out, where, multiple guys in a game have big games, because to get anywhere, you need three guys rolling. And Michigan State did, and that's why they they outplayed Michigan, and they outplayed them in a number of facets, including at times at center, despite what Juwan Howard wanted to say.
What, Hunter Dickinson getting all those calls?
Well, no, I mean,
or non-calls.
I asked Juwan Howard a question afterward, and he sort of dismissed it. And
what did you ask?
I just asked him about Marcus Bingham and the growth he'd seen in him as a guy guarding Hunter Dickinson. He said he looked down at Hunter Dickinson have 25. Yeah, but he was like 9 for 20. I mean, he was 43% shooting. There were 4 blocks in the game. Very few of those buckets came over Bingham. He had some. He's a really good player, Hunter Dickinson. I gave him almost a softball. I'm asking, can you give Bingham a compliment here? Can you explain what you saw from him? And and he just was unwilling to go there. Now he's upset after a loss.
Don't coach my team.
And that's fine. But
what if Juwan would have dropped that? Don't coach my team.
I would have loved it because I would have. Then I would have read the stats to him. All right, what is your first hot take?
Well, keeping on the Michigan State basketball theme, and I'm looking over my notes here, and I put in college refs are ass for some reason, like I was going to forget.
Football is back.
Football is back. Carmen Electra's hot. Listen, but like I told you, I think Hoggard is definitely the point guard over Tyson Walker. I know you're a Tyson Walker guy. I think for them to have success, it's got to be Hoggard playing more minutes than Tyson Walker. But my first initial thought after the Michigan game is fans have to decide what they want. Do they want a deep run in March, or do they want Max Christie coming back next year? Because I think if there is a run in March, that leans towards Max Christie leaving for the NBA draft. Because like you said, I think you mentioned in one of your hot takes, your column after the game, that Christie is the guy, and he has to be the guy for Michigan State to succeed. So I just don't know what you want to pick. Do you want Christie back for another year? Do you think this team is Final Four ready? I don't know that. No, personally, right now as we stand, I would rather have Christie come back for another year.
And I think he probably will. Now, it is possible. You're right. If he blows up in February and March, it is possible that'll be that.
Right.
And then you hope you can get everything you can out of the season. I do think, right.
Because there's a lot of potential in the NBA draft. A lot of teams are looking at Christie towards the future, right, of what potential could be. And if he starts proving that as a true freshman, I think they're going to have to tell Christie, listen, you're going to have to go to the draft.
Correct. I do think that, well, and not necessarily. I mean, there is evidence. Miles Bridges it worked out for. Gary Harris it worked out for. It was Gary Harris wishes he'd come back a third year. Jaren Jackson wishes he'd come back a second year. They have evidence in their program, and guys recently who the NBA has worked out for, who you can reach out to and can also, he's not an old freshman. This isn't AJ Hoggard or Hunter Dickinson here. He is under 30. And so the other thing is, talk to Gary Harris about what it's like to be a 19-year-old rookie in the NBA. I mean, he hated it. It's like you are lonely and miserable. It is a man's game, a man's world. You're not even
until you look at your bank account.
Yeah, but you're not even old enough to drink on the road. Well, but again, Christie is not. It depends what kind of background you come from. But Christie also comes from a background similar to, the Jaren Jackson Juniors and the Gary Harrises, where there is not a real financial need to go now, right? You're not in it. I remember asking Xavier Henderson about NIL, name, image, and likeness before the season, and he said, well, I'm privileged. I grew up rich. Like, what do I care? And that was basically his comment. Everybody comes from a different background. Miles Bridges did it despite, not having a lot of money in his family, and just decided what he'd want. I think ultimately he'll wind up coming back, but you're right. In terms of national championship likeliness to be a contender in that place, I think a sophomore Max Christie is really important to that. All right, my second hot take. All year, we hear from football coaches about how it's a game of inches. For decades, that's D'Antonio, that's Mel Tucker, that's every coach you ever see. And then last night, at least 3 times in the fourth quarter, and I understand the clock maybe on the TV is different than the one at the field, although Troy Aikman brought it up as well. The Rams, late in the game, snap the ball after the play clock is over. And often made first down, like they were critical plays late in that fourth quarter. And I kept thinking about, if I was an opposing fan, I would be going absolutely ballistic. This is why refs have to be part of the postgame. Because if this is a game of inches, if we're going to talk about this is all the work in the offseason, this is the little thing you do during the game, those little things mattered. I do not think the Rams are in the Super Bowl today without those calls. Now, maybe it is the clock being different, but I don't think they are. Those are really big plays at a big moment, And I understand there are lots of other little things. San Francisco guy drops an interception right in his hands. There are lots of little things. Jimmy Garoppolo was not great in the fourth quarter. But those things were also inches that mattered. And this, to me, is why refs have to be a part of it, because you have to be able to ask that question. Like, wait a second, that's part of the game story. It should be part. I mean, did you not see that? Now, I'm not there, and I didn't see a lot of other chirping about it, and people just want to forget it, I think, because Matt Stafford's a great story and all that, whatever. The Rams are there, and the Rams are better.
That's why the refs didn't call it? Stafford's a good story?
No, but I'm just – and I understand that there is a beat when it turns 0 and you look up. But, man, those were – I mean, even Aikman brought it up in the telecast.
You had San Fran, though, right?
No, I had the Rams. I just felt bad because I could picture myself – I think part of it was yesterday, you can picture yourself being a Lions fan getting screwed. Like if that was, you can picture yourself on the other side where things are all of a sudden going wrong. Wait a sec, why is that not delay a game? It's either delay a game or it's not. When the clock strikes 0, it's delay a game or it's not. And again, I was happy for Stanford. I was rooting for the Rams. I won money because the Rams won that game. But I would like there to be accountability for that, and that to at least be a question post game. Because to me, if we're going to sit here and talk about inches and all the little things that matter in football, that mattered yesterday, and it was a big part of the story.
But I think refs have talked about it because I think they give the benefit of the doubt to the refs. If it's, was the 0 hanging there for a while? Because I think, like you said, they might not be on the same. I thought that the refs would give it if they snapped it at barely either 1 or right at 0, they would still not call it.
Yeah, there was a beat after 0 on a couple of them, and Aikman brought it up on the telecast.
Of course, Troy's never wrong.
Well, I'm just saying,
states the obvious.
He might be seeing the other. Maybe he's looking at his monitor, but maybe he's looking at the play clock in the stadium too. And I know a lot of people said that's different. Whatever.
Good old Troy.
Yeah, don't make it different. And plus, I'm streaming the game. Who knows? I could be 45 seconds off, and that's not really how streaming works. But you know what I mean? Like
sometimes streaming does that.
I'm way behind everything else. But anyway, that bugged me. That I had to get that off my chest today.
Well, watching, it's my hot take number 2, I guess, is that. As a Lions fan and watching Stafford, now I'm happy for Matthew Stafford, and I don't know who made up the fucking rule where that you can't root for a quarterback from a terrible organization that you root for, why you can't either root or be happy for Matthew Stafford. I don't know who made these fucking rules up, but you can toss those out the window because you answer me this question. How does a quarterback, by the way, who Brad Holmes, who left that organization and traded Matthew Stafford to his former organization for a Jared Goff contract that no one on the fucking planet thought they would ever get out from underneath of, but somehow the Lions took it instead of a Carolina deal for the 8th overall pick and another pick for Stafford. But I'm looking at these games yesterday, Graham, and I'm going, if the Lions are, I can't do this. If the Lions were in any of those situations yesterday, the Chiefs or the Rams situation, my heart can't handle this. Now, it can handle it when I have some money on the line, and it's just, it's teams that I'm not really rooting for deeply. But if the Lions made it that far, my heart will explode. My head will explode, my heart will explode, because there's no way it can handle that. Right? And by the way, Dan Campbell, you think Dan Campbell in that game against McVay and Shanahan, you think he competes? Out of the 4 coaches that coached in those championship games, you really, honestly, as a Lions fan, you think Dan Campbell can come up with either a game plan that isn't consumed by just running on every 4th down? I just don't see this franchise ever getting to a level like these teams are at. And by the way, the Bengals, who haven't been to the Super Bowl in how many years? The Super Bowl. The Bengals once considered one of the biggest laughingstock franchises of all fucking time. So where does that put the Lions?
They're down there.
Is there a chance? No, yeah. They are down there, Graham. I'll answer for you. They are all the way down there, and I know that we want to see hope and these 5-year fucking plans, and I know that we blame ownership, and as well as we should, I know they're never going to fucking sell. So you should just resign yourself to the fact that you're never going to see the Detroit Lions in that situation yesterday.
No, I think what this all taught us, and Joe Burrow has taught us this, and the Bengals, first of all, it's taught us 2 things. One, the Bengals were really long odds, even in the playoffs, to make the Super Bowl with way too much talent, and the value was there, and shame on all of us, including myself, for not jumping hard on that line because we'd all be doing pretty well. Shame on all of us.
On what, the Bengals-Chiefs line?
No, on the Bengals to make the Super Bowl once they were in the playoffs, because it was huge odds. Huge odds.
As well it should be, though. In that Titans game, they shouldn't even have won that game.
If you're paying rent or mortgage this month, that's on you. That's your fault, and that's same with me. So that's all. That's on us.
That's on you.
But the one thing this has taught us, again, with Burrow and all these guys, is until you got the quarterback, don't fuck around and try. Like, you got to get the quarterback. Like, Garoppolo couldn't do it at the end. That's why the 49ers drafted a different quarterback. Stafford is good enough, but barely. He needs a lot of other people, and he's got them. Burrow,
But Stafford's making throws, though. Jimmy G is just sitting there throwing check down passes. Stafford has the arm, and he makes some mistakes like Favre used to do, but you deal with that because he's got a rifle. I'm happy for Stafford. I'm not happy about the 2 weeks that we have to wait for all the storylines.
And by the way, if you had the Bengals, and I think it was like, I don't know, you $100 would have paid like, I don't know, about $2,000 right now if they're in the Super Bowl. If you have that, if you put, especially if you put more than that on, if you had the Bengals, give Mark and Jay a call at North Coast Wealth Management. They can help you invest that money for retirement, help you talk you through Social Security benefits, saving for your kids' college education. Do something with it. Don't put it in a duffel bag like the Rube did with his $40K and carry it around for 2 weeks. Call Mark and Jay at North Coast Wealth Management, 248-626-2000, or email them at info@northcoastwm.com. You can find them online, northcoastwm.com. And let them know Couch and the Rube sent you for a free consultation. See if Mark and Jay at North Coast Wealth Management are a good fit for you. My third hot take. For all the pissing and moaning I did on this, and we're not paying attention right now to this, but Cade Cunningham is worth watching. He's becoming a star, and he's only going to get better. And I'm so glad the Pistons took him. He's only 6'6". I'm good with Cade Cunningham. Last night, triple-double, 12th rookie ever to have 2 triple-doubles in his first, season or 40 games, whatever it was. First Piston ever to do it. 19 points, 10 rebounds, 10 assists. 2 days earlier, 34 points, 8 rebounds, 8 assists. 2 games before that, 25, 6 and 5. 3 games before that, 21 and 4. 3 games before that, 29 and 8.
So he's playing like the number 1 pick.
He's playing like the number 1 pick, and I'm really, really freaking happy about it. And the Pistons have a chance if they go, I think, 13 and 20 the rest of the way, which they went 7 and 9 in January. They go 13-20 the rest of the way. They'll cover the over 24.5 season wins bet, so that's back in play. And I don't know. I know we're paying attention to football. We've got other things going. Michigan State basketball's got an interesting season. But all of a sudden, and if you tuned out the Pistons, Cade Cunningham is worth watching. What is your third hot take?
I think Harbaugh takes this Vikings job because over the weekend there was a report that Jimmy Harbaugh is going to interview with the Vikings job, and I think this is probably one of the better fits for Harbaugh because the Cousins, the Harbaugh connection, obviously we know they're both kind of weirdo kind of guys, but it's too good of a fit, Graham. What happens to Aaron Rodgers with the Packers? Does he go elsewhere? The Bears are a shit show, and of course the Lions. So you could honestly walk right in and start dominating the NFC North. So why sit there? And I heard rumors of the Dolphins and this and that, but why not take the Vikings job? You can leave Michigan, like you said in your post-conference game conference, that, hey, we took Michigan back to the top, and you could walk off into the sunset, leave that whole Bull Schembechler thing behind, and take the Vikings job. I just don't see why you wouldn't take this gig.
Do you keep Cousins? I don't know where they are financially with that.
I don't know. I think they're stuck with him with the contract.
How long is this contract? Jesus.
It was like $80 million for what?
Hold on.
9 years?
Let me it feels like that. All right. So he received a 3-year, $84 million deal.
Damn.
Hold on, this doesn't make sense. I thought that was his original. There we go. Sorry, I wasn't quite there. All right, so yeah, next year is the last year of the deal, and his base salary is $35 million. But there's a cap hit next year. He's on the team next year. It's a cap hit of $45 million next year. So he's got one more year, and then they're out from under it. So it's not actually a bad. It depends where they are on their window, and every coach has to know this. And obviously and they'd be smart to draft a quarterback now and have a rookie, learning under him next year.
But you just don't want to take one of those jobs where it's kind of a rebuild. Like I feel like the Dolphins are still a rebuilding kind of team.
Or you don't want to take a team that's just past its prime, and the Vikings might have missed their window because they brought in Kirk Cousins, and now you've got to go all the way down before you come up. So there's always that risk. I don't know where the Vikings are in that whole deal. But you got one more year, Kirk Cousins. You're right. We'll see what it's not a bad job.
And a bonus take from this: Tom Brady is retiring or he's not retiring, and I always despise this when you read about, like, Brady, he's decided on his retirement. He wants to spend more time with his family. These guys always want to spend time with their family, but then as soon as they get home, they end up taking fucking TV jobs. If you want to spend time with your family, fire 2 of the 3 fucking nannies you have. If you want to spend more time, I hate that whole thing. You both collectively, Gisele Bündchen and Tom Brady make $90 million a year. You can spend time with your family wherever you are. Your family will be there.
Well, the
luxury.
The TV jobs take a lot less time, but
I understand. But Brady, if Brady still has it in him to play, I just don't put it on he needs to spend more time with his family card, which I hate.
If Gisele is your family, I can understand the.
Why? Been there, done that. You have your kids. Gisele's there already. She's got her own suite. They come down after the game. They stay at the hotel with them. How much more time do you need to see your family?
You know the difference between you at day and you at night? I don't think you have your Sky Mint in the morning. We do these morning shows.
Dude, I don't. I don't, and I'm just, the
it's
morning
different.
shows are ass.
It's a different vibe. No,
I
don't mind it. There's an intensity. I don't mind it, but it's definitely different.
I know.
There's definitely a lack of Sky Mint. So depending on a good example of whether Sky Mint is for you is think about the Rube in the evening in those shows, and then think about in the morning and which Rube do you prefer? Which version of yourself do you prefer? Go to skymint.com for location information and specials. I got some great winter specials going on right now. You can have them emailed to your email inbox every single day. Chances are you live within 30 minutes of a Sky Mint. Certain places like Lansing and Ann Arbor, they'll even deliver Sky Mint to you.
Also, it depends on gambling. Like the night before, how gambling went also affects my mood.
This is very, very
sometimes
very
I need a couple hours.
This is very true. We'll take a really quick break. We come back. We're going to dig into your hot takes. Couch in the Room, presented by Sky Mint Premium Cannabis and Mark and Jay at North Coast Wealth Management.
Where else can you cheer on your team? Enjoy a mouth-watering burger or savory sushi. Sip on handcrafted cocktails or one of 46 beers on tap. Take your game day or date night to Cask & Company Kitchen Bar or Front 43 Neighborhood Pub near Frandor. 2 amazing places with 1 awesome blended modern American Asian menu. Catch the game on one of 30 60-inch TVs or stop in for the all-you-can-eat lunch buffet. Enjoy happy hour or elevate your night out at Cask & Company or Front 43 on East Saginaw in Lansing. Firekeepers Online Casino and Sportsbook is the site to play. Get your Vegas on right now from your phone, tablet, or laptop. All the hottest slots and tables, plus sports betting featuring in-game wagering. Download the app at firekeeperscasino.com. Go with the name you know. Firekeepers. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 or older and located in Michigan. Gambling problem? Call the Michigan Problem Gambling Helpline at 1-800-270-7117. Wherever you are on your cannabis journey, let Sky Mint Premium Cannabis be your guide, your friend, and your place. Whether you're curious about cannabis or a seasoned connoisseur, Sky Mint's knowledgeable staff will help you with a vast selection of products to choose from to fit your needs. Sky Mint believes access to the best cannabis helps people do good and feel good, so they grow it right here in Michigan, giving you high-quality, locally grown cannabis at highly accessible prices. Visit skymint.com for special offers and location information throughout Michigan, and use the promo code CouchAndRube20 for 20% off your first visit. Sky Mint Cannabis. You'll love this place. Come enjoy irresistible, award-winning, handcrafted donuts and locally roasted coffee at Groovy Donuts. Surprise your family or coworkers with special holiday designs and flavors, or put the perfect finishing touch on an event with a custom order. Birthdays, weddings, gender reveals, our friends at Groovy Donuts are your answer. Experience the Groovy Donuts difference for yourself on Lake Lansing Road in East Lansing or in Williamston. Get more information or place an order at groovydonuts.com.
Find Couch in the Room podcasts on Spreaker, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, YouTube, Facebook, Google Podcasts, CastBox, and the Rube's favorite, Podcast Addict.
Couch in the Room, presented by Sky Mint Premium Cannabis, and our Monday morning show brought to you by our friends Mark and Jay at North Coast Wealth Management. Give Mark and Jay a call. That is 248-626-2000. Let them know Couch in the Room sent you for a free consultation to see if they are a fit for you. All right, you ready to dig into these listener hot takes?
Let's do it. Eric Schultz, of course. Eric Schultz, of course, up front. Number one proof MSU is a football school. I didn't watch a second of the MSU-Michigan game because I'm skiing in Colorado. If it was MSU-Michigan football game this weekend, I wouldn't have gone on the trip. 2, if Sunday's results don't illustrate how the Lions are the worst run franchise in pro sports, I don't know what does. 3, being in the mountains is better than being by the beach, but still nothing beats summers in northern Michigan.
Agree with a lot of these things. Number one, the football school thing is absolutely right. I mean, the as big as Saturday was, it just doesn't. The rivalry in basketball doesn't compare, and it's because the feelings run deeper. And
there's more games, though.
It's true. There are more. Well, although this might be the only one between these two schools.
Still, I mean,
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
And the Lions thing. I mean, here's the one thing I'll say about the Rams, and this was interesting. The Rams got there with a lot of in-season moves. Like, they don't get there without getting Odell Beckham Jr., partly because they had an injury at receiver in the middle of the season, and they also added what's his name from Denver, the linebacker,
Larry Reynolds.
Not Larry. Fuck you.
Jimbo Fisher.
You're an ass.
Von Miller.
Von Miller. Yes. So they added Von Miller, and I mean they went. I mean they spent a lot of money on and brought in veterans. They're very interesting, all in sort of now mentality, which is not what the Lions want to do. But you're right. Stafford was there for a long time and couldn't win a playoff game, and now wins 3, and it's very frustrating.
Maybe Musa diabetes is one and done. Painful, but he has heart, skill, and potential. 2, Izzo is the reason MSU won that game. 3, new rule. Christie's mom's career can only be mentioned when MSU's playing Northwestern. Infractions will result in creative applications of superglue.
They must have brought it up during the MSU Michigan game.
You have to.
Yeah. Every time he.
Absolutely. I mean, his mom played at a Big Ten school, played basketball too. And, by the way, with Lisa Byington. Did you know that?
I do.
Oh.
It's
great.
Diabate. I love
Musa
Diabate's
diabetes. That's real funny. Yuck it up, chuckles. Diabetes is serious.
I'm not saying absolutely. That's why I don't do donut eating challenges anymore. As much as I love groovy donuts, I keep it to one donut at a time. But no, I do think he is probably I don't know if he's the best pro for sure on that team, but there is, like, Hunter Dickinson's a great college center, and he'll be a pro, but I don't think he's a better pro than Musa. Like, I think what Musa's able to, I don't know. I look at his. You
see Dickinson in the pros, huh?
I mean, he'll get a.
What does he do really, really well, though, for the pros?
He's going to have to hit the outside shot eventually, but yeah, he's a skilled big man, and there's a place for him. There are worse big men than that in the NBA.
Mm. Name your top 5.
Worst big man?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, is he a better fit for the NBA than Luka Garza?
Yes. No. I'd rather have Garza because Garza has his father that on social media.
Okay.
So people want to see him.
It's a good thing you're not a scout.
Jim Harden, number 1, great win in love. Max Christie, jawing with diabetes. He looks like a choir boy, but turning into an assassin. 2, Andy Reid should be fired for that call before the half. Gave Cincy momentum going into the half. And 3, Gabe Brown almost touching top of the backboard on an alley-oop. And bonus take, Novak threw a tennis racket through his TV after that Nadal fucking amazing comeback win for his 21st major. Did you wake up and watch that?
I did not. I usually do. I did not watch as much of the U.S. Open. I had one late-night bet that I won substantially on the U.S. Open. It was a team.
Australian Open?
Australian Open, sorry. Team was or the player was behind 2-1. And so the live line was, but it was an even match. I was like, somebody's got to be down 2-1 if you played 3 sets. And I don't know. I put some money on the live line and it won. It was very nice.
How do you play tennis for 5.5 hours?
5 sets. Because sometimes if you're playing.
No. I'm just saying. As a physical feat, like
there's the opening chapter of Andre Agassi's biography, Open, which is a fantastic book. Even if you don't love tennis, like if you love tennis, it's great. Because you'll recognize a lot of the characters and the names, but all the stuff on like his marriage with Brooke Shields and when he knew that wasn't going to work and all these things. There's some great stuff in his dad and what crazy childhood in Vegas and all that stuff. But the what's it called, the epilogue, whatever the intro is before the first chapter, is this him against Marco Bagdatis, who was a pretty good player for a long time in tennis, and they basically just played this 5-setter at the U.S. Open when they're both, or Agassi's in his mid-30s. And the chapter ends with the two of them laying on the training table, each separately next to each other, holding hands. They're in such pain after playing 5 straight hours, 5-set match. And only those guys understand what they just went through. And it's sort of
so they held hands like Thelma and Louise.
Yeah, basically.
Might have left that out of the book.
No, I don't think so. It's a really touching moment.
You like that Hallmark shit.
We'll get more into the Max Christie thing because there's some other hot takes on this, but I do think that was a substantial thing. The play at the end of the half, how influential on the end of the game do you think that was? Well,
obviously it was huge because they lost the game because of it. And to run the play like that, it just seems like Bieniemy and the Chiefs, they just get so fucking cute around the goal line where you have to throw that into the end zone somehow.
And I think where the Chiefs make a mistake, and this is where it carried over, is when the Chiefs, you're right, get cute, start taking points for granted, stop valuing every possession and every point. That's when they get in trouble.
Yep.
And that's what happened to them.
Because they were up 18 points. They were just messing around. Ron Quixie Oates. Number 1, Max Christie may not look imposing, but he's that dude. 2, Tyson Walker needs a big game soon. Otherwise, he may mentally check out. He's clearly so hard on himself, and it kills his confidence. 3, pretty sure Pat Mahomes was point shaving. It's the only logical explanation.
To check his phone for a Firekeepers iCasino and Sportsbook app. Sorry, I don't know if I should tie point shaving to our sponsors.
Yeah, you don't want to do that.
Yeah, it's not a great look. We'll fix that in post. The Tyson Walker, I mean, first of all, I thought he actually had a really good game in parts. Hoggard was just better. I mean, he was just really good. They're still different, but I mean, he had the step back 3, which I thought was important. He had a really good. I thought this was maybe the most important thing because where Walker has struggled a little bit is against bigger players finishing at the rim. He had a really aggressive early second half finish at the rim as they were starting to build that lead. I thought he actually played well. Hoggard just stole the show. I don't think it was him playing poorly. I think he's okay. But you're right on this sense. I have never seen anybody as hard on themselves. Most guys, like he and Hoggard, are so opposite. Like Hoggard always thinks it's AJ Hoggard time. He can be playing like shit, and AJ Hoggard's like, I got this. And,
that's what you need, though, out of your point guard.
Right. And Tyson Walker can be playing pretty well, and he makes one mistake, and he's like, fuck it, take me out. Like they're just so different mentally.
Max Spade, number 1, the Hauser haters can crawl into an internet hole and shrivel up. Players develop, and if Izzo had benched him like the doubters wanted, he wouldn't have developed. 2, Max Christie's "You're down by 15" was the best part of my weekend. And 3, I'm watching the playoffs on my radio. I don't know how you watch it on the radio. While painting my kitchen. I don't know if I'm smart or missing out.
If you get a great radio broadcast and you're sort of, it can be a fun experience. If you're getting stuff done, it's multitasking. But I prefer the TV experience.
I think for the championship games like this, you have to just hold off on the painting.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. The painting will be, the job will still be there to do.
Week 15, some shit like that, I maybe get away with it. But
Totally agree with that. Now, the Max Christie thing, I think was, I mean, I thought 2 things. One, the way he played was important. And the fact that they talked about the adjustments they made, the fact that they weren't just waiting for it to happen. And he talked to the coaches, and this is interesting. Max Christie kind of asked them to get him on the ball more, to do different things, to give him not just catching and shooting. They obliged. They worked on. I mean, it wasn't like they were just waiting for it to happen after the Illinois game, which I think was important. But then when you see a young guy with a little bit of edge, I think that's when a guy you're hoping becomes your dude. I think that's.
Are we making more of this than it should be, though? He just did. Just say, you're down 15 points. It's not like he got right up in his face.
But. And look, he's always been a little bit confident. Like I remember him preseason saying, "Yeah, I think I can just take my guy whenever I need to." Like he knows he's good.
But you have to be that way.
Absolutely. No, but I think it's important.
I want that out of your favorite basketball players or the team you're rooting for. You don't want the guy to be like, "Yeah, I don't know, I might not have it tonight."
And the best thing about being a basketball player and talking shit is that there are very few other basketball players. Like these are all scrawny, fairly weak guys who couldn't bench press, 185 3 times. Like there are like a couple guys who are strong out there. Julius Marble might mess some people up, right? Mady Sissoko does mess some people. He fouls like 6 times a possession. But like most of these guys, they have long reach, but they got no strength. So you can talk all the shit you want.
Chet Lemon, number 1. I was less impressed with Juwan Howard as a coach after his post-game presser. Am I being too hard on him? Maybe he was just frustrated. 2, thoughts on Juwan's response to your question on Bingham.
Yeah, I mean, it was a frustrated coach trying to own the room and looking silly doing it. Like, I mean, I guess I could have said, well, and read the stats to him. It was perfect. I asked the question and was very happy with the response because I knew that's what our new sports storyteller, Ryan Black, was writing about the Marcus Bingham and that matchup. And so it gave him a good part of the part of his column. So that's what I was looking for. So I didn't mind it. I've had a lot of frustrated coaches over time. Look, Izzo famously said, "Don't coach my team."
Don't coach my team.
And that was a very innocuous, simple question. He just didn't like it. He's pissed off. When coaches are pissed off, you think about the emotion of losing a game, then they put you in front of a crowd of people who ask you about it. And I can understand why it sometimes doesn't happen.
And this is what you said about Juwan Howard.
He's got a stupid-looking face. I did not say that. Nope. That's being taken out of context because that was not a Juwan Howard drop. Remember, that's always Brad Ausmus. That's the one I have to own. It was the Brad Ausmus. Brad Ausmus.
He did
quote.
have a punchable face.
Yeah. No, Juwan Howard was not his best moment. I still think he's a really good coach. I think the way he handles defeats and doesn't overreact to them, they're different than Izzo in certain ways, but I think he also sees the big picture with this. And he did something pretty classy at the end of the game. He kind of held the game up and allowed them to put Steve and Izzo in. Like that wasn't going to be able to happen, but Juwan Howard did that even if he's losing to his rival. Not every coach would have.
Professor, number 1, I was wrong about AJ Hoggard. 2, Breslin and the Izzone were on fire Saturday. The most intense I have felt since Cassius versus Michigan 2 years ago. 3, the Spirit Squad missed the opportunity to throw mini basketballs and T-shirts to the recruits. Should they get prepared with swag? Shouldn't they get prepared with swag? Peppered.
I haven't seen the mini basketballs in a while.
You're telling me they fired mini basketballs out in the crowd?
Well, they're like these tiny little. They're very. They're soft.
Oh,
they're not going to hurt you. If they were like firing real basketballs, like another grandma goes
those
down.
Papa Shot basketballs. That would firing out.
That would hurt like hell. I do think the crowd had something. I mean, I think that was different than at any point this year. It was different than at any point since that Ohio State game on March 8th, 2020. And you see the effect of it. You see the effect the crowd has in a big game. And MSU, I know they don't have Michigan again at home, but they've got to find a way to keep duplicating that. They're going to need that crowd, for example, when Purdue visits.
Jeff Haddis, number 1, Stafford taking the Rams to the Super Bowl in year 1 should show you how ass the Ford family really is. Sell the team, Martha. 2, there is nothing better than when Izzo bitch slaps Michigan. And 3, the current feelings generated from MSU athletics feels similar to the 09-13 run when I was a student. I consider this the golden era of MSU sports and look forward to the next 5 years. Everyone's favorite bonus take. Tyson Walker is playing his way into the transfer portal.
Well, keep in mind he's already transferred, so he doesn't get he'd have to sit out. Like I don't think Walker's miserable in that sense. I don't, and I don't think he's leaving either. I think he's going to be a really good player at Michigan State, and I think he and AJ Hoggard will continue to platoon most of next year, and I'll tell you why. I mean, Hoggard has played himself. Like I thought for a long time, Tyson Walker needed to be closer to playing 30 and Hoggard 10. That's obviously changing, but I still think it's 2020 because until Hoggard proves that he is, and they're playing some of them together, and he's played a couple games where he's played 24, 25, and only had 1 turnover, and if that's who he's going to be every game, that's fine. I still very much question whether A.J. Hoggard is going to be that. I think in some ways, the difference in who they are, I think, is they're both effective players. I agree, A.J. Hoggard in the Wisconsin game and this game has played next level, and but look, I think Walker played fine.
G.E. Miller, number 1, this MSU's team performance is more dependent on team-wide effort than any other in the Izzo era because there are no consistent stars. If they collectively have the effort, the team wins. If they don't, they lose. I can't remember a guy scoring 20-plus in a game this year.
Yeah, I mean, Malik Hall, they've had a couple of them. There was but in conference play, there aren't many of them. And it's not just that. You're right. It is a team that doesn't have a guy it knows. Now, this may develop, and it may be happening. It may be that Malik Hall has got to be that dude. It may be that Max Christie becomes that guy here. Gabe Brown I thought it was important the way he played late in that game. But you're right. They don't have a guy you can just throw the ball to. That's your guy. And they don't have a guy they're not a star team. And they've had other teams like this, but not we haven't seen teams that have been so much all or nothing. And I think that's what they've got to get through. They've got to be much closer to all more often. And maybe this was a step. Maybe it wasn't. We'll find out this week.
Geoff Oswald, number 1, that Mahomes bed shitting was, dare I say, Lions-esque. 2, Jaden Akins, while solid, has been in a slump since Graham stopped saying he glides. Stop saying that.
No, since I
start saying
it.
it.
Yeah.
Well, then say it again.
Jade Naked's glide.
There he is. 3, Keon Coleman will find a role on the team moving forward. And bonus, Max Christie will win the most Big Ten Freshman of the Week awards in MSU history.
By the way, Keon Coleman does glide, too. That guy's an athlete. Like, I would have fallen so hard. He was so off balance before that layoff. I was like, oh, he's going to fall on his face. Fall on his back.
What a
whatever.
bucket. At the end.
What a bucket, yeah. Now, look, there is an overreaction to it. But I do think, he's Keon Coleman, you can see the athleticism. Now, he plays with the guards, and Malik Hall, I think, is a really good player, plays with the forwards and stuff. And you see those differences in practice, who they're practicing with. They're just different players. But I do think, neither one of those guys is just doing this for the fun of it. I don't know if either one of them will play a meaningful minute this year. I still question that. But I think if Keon Coleman is determined to do that in college basketball and he takes it seriously this summer and he's able to balance both, then next year he will be somebody who plays meaningful minutes.
Rick Darnell, number 1, Joey Hauser. 2, Keon Coleman is the new fan fave. 3, so many bad decisions by Mahomes, starting with the last play of the first half, fouled by every play of the second half, never recovered.
It was cool to hear the Joey Hauser chant. Like, there is, I don't know that, and first of all, he played really well, and he played well defensively against Hunter Dickinson. I love the understanding that Joey Hauser basically went to his own and said, no, I can't, he's too much. I can't deal with him on this, so I'm going to do this. Like, he has an understanding of who he is. Joey Hauser isn't walking in there to go, you know what, I can swat Hunter Dickinson shit. I'm going to get in there and just do it. So he fronted him. He played him differently. Like, he played on his hip. He has the one thing about Hauser is he doesn't think he's something he's not. And I think, and then you see him perform well. I do think it's interesting to watch a guy like that who has frustrated fans to no end, who's taken abuse from some fans, and then sort of be embraced for it. Social media abuse.
You play well, you don't get abused, I guess. Creature thinks creepy. All right. Number 1, Hoggard over Walker. Easy decision, needs to happen. 2, Hoggard needs to start over Walker. All right. 3, Walker's job. Hoggard just took yours, Yoda voice.
Walker's job. Yoda just took. That wasn't very good. Hoggard just took. I fucked it up. I didn't read it right. Let me try that again. Fix it in post.
Do it in David Ortiz voice.
This is all fucking city, man. It was. That's
look, my favorite.
I don't think you.
I don't understand where it comes from.
And I messed it up too the other day. I kept saying this is all fucking country. It's supposed to be city, but I don't think starting matters. It's who's playing better and who's at the end. You see it with Malik Hall, who genuinely doesn't care, and who mentioned something about Hauser, that Hauser is more engaged and plays better when he starts. So have him start. It just doesn't matter that much. Izzo subs people out after 3 minutes. These guys don't get very far into the game.
Stan Shock. Number 1, Jason is full of shit.
This should have led the show.
Says you do these. Says he's dead inside about the Lions and gets worked up about them on the reg, I guess. 2, that game was as much about Michigan as Michigan State. We'll learn a lot about Maryland and Rutgers this week.
We'll learn a lot at Maryland.
That too, whatever, you got it. 3, Stephen Bardo should be the Skymint rep. Love his chill vibe.
I like Bardo. I like Bardo as an announcer, always have. You know the best thing I like about Stephen Bardo as an announcer? That he doesn't annoy me doing Illinois games. That's a really hard thing. When guys do their alma mater, sometimes they become very, very annoying. And Bardo has never bothered me. I think he knows the game, and he's even-keeled, and he treats every game with respect, because he's, some of these guys, if it's not as big a game, they don't give the same energy. Let's go to number 1, though. Jason is full of shit.
Yeah.
So he's dead inside about the Lions, but gets worked up about them. Yeah, you're not dead inside about the Lions.
I am.
Well,
the regular season, I'm dead. But when I talk about the Lions as a franchise, I get kind of animated and pissed off. I still have some angry feelings inside. I'm talking about during the regular season, wins and losses. They don't sway me anymore.
Okay.
Emotionally. But yeah, he's right. I'm full of shit a lot. Nick Palmer, number 1, as a proud Vikings fan, I am a solid hell no on Harbaugh. You just had Mike Zimmer. Are you kidding me? 2, Michigan basketball is a great example of why the star system in recruiting doesn't mean anything. And 3, Izzo can coach or Izzo can't coach. Someone tell me what we're going to go with this week. And bonus, appreciate you guys.
Appreciate you, Nick. This week is Izzo can coach, so that's where that was on this week's agenda. If you get the email memo that's sent out, yeah. So if you're a Vikings fan, are you high on the idea of Harbaugh or no?
If you're also a State fan,
no. Well, I guess
I don't know if Nick Palmer is. I mean, I would figure after watching the Mike Zimmer era, I would be ecstatic with Harbaugh. He's shown it that he can do it in the pros. So.
Yeah, me too. I would like,
and he's not a terrible coach. I just think for the buildup that he got at Michigan, he hasn't succeeded. That doesn't mean he's a terrible football coach.
No, I would be very. Yeah, I think he might be good in the NFL. I don't know that he would be my top choice certain places, but I also would be intrigued by it. Yeah,
if you're the Vikings, that's a home run.
Okay.
Jack Gertza. Number 1, with the addition of Jarek Broussard, MSU's offense is even more dynamic than last year. 2, this is the most exciting time to be a Michigan State football and basketball fan since 2015. And 3, MSU basketball is only loses 2 more Big Ten games. And bonus, Harbaugh to Vikings.
So Jarek Broussard is the Colorado running back, leading rusher, who is announced his transfer to Michigan State. And I think we thought there'd be one more move, and this is the one that, they're still in on some high school recruits. But when you start to look now at the back, they got 2 transfers in the backfield who they're high on, and then you've got 2 guys who they're maybe not as high on, but we'll get a shot, and we'll see if they both stick around. Broussard I've seen some tape of him. I've watched maybe 1 or 2 games with him. I don't watch a ton of Colorado football, I'll be honest, but he's also a guy who's had some injury issues. I think what they've done a nice job of is putting together a stable of running backs that have some talent that you're hoping one of them breaks out or a couple of them break out, and you're not hoping for Kenneth Walker. You're hoping to have a couple guys who is a combo backfield give you some punch. And I think Broussard goes a long way towards assuring you have that.
Christie Slick, number 1, this is the best round of playoffs I can remember. 2, the more time that goes on, Jim Harbaugh seems like a guy who is looking for any reason to get out of Ann Arbor. And 3, Tyson Walker will have an NCAA tournament breakout performance like 2009 Travis Walton versus USC that saves Michigan State in a close game. And bonus, Tom Brady will play one more season to spite the sources who spoiled his retirement.
I'll be honest, my dislike for Adam Schefter and the way he breaks stories and my lack of I would.
But that's his job, though.
Yeah, but the thing he did last year with Aaron Rodgers where he just decided it was sort of a build-up, so today I'm going to break it because he didn't like getting beat.
Well, yeah, he's a tool, but I understand his job is to break.
I would play out of spite, though, if I were a player.
I feel like Tom Brady is the guy that would do that,
yeah,
though, right?
Totally.
Like Ben Roethlisberger obviously couldn't do that out of spite because he just needs to get out. But I think Brady could come back for one more.
Yeah, because I don't think Brady's done the same way Peyton Manning's arm was shot or Drew Brees' arm was shot. Like, you could see with those 2 guys, like, they couldn't make certain throws anymore.
Yeah.
And Brady may know it. Like, Elway threw for 300 and some yards in his final game and then gave a teary press conference and said, I just can't physically do it. So sometimes these guys know it, even though it doesn't actually show up on the field. They can feel it going away or something.
But I think Brady fears, like, he doesn't want to go out like Peyton Manning, where he was just a shell of himself, could barely throw a 10-yard pass, even though the defense led them to a championship. It's still, I think Brady just wants to go out.
He doesn't want to do that.
Normal.
Yeah, no, and I get that. And what was so impressive about what happened with that Peyton Manning season is you saw how more important quarterback play between the years is than other things. Like, he still got him in the right plays all the way. Now, they had to have a killer defense, obviously. But he was still
but he's a smart quarterback.
Yeah, I would still rather have him than like 20 of the other starting quarterbacks.
1,000%.
Yeah.
Al, number 1, CBS needs to replace everyone except JB on its NFL studio show. It's gone stale. 2, Killian Hayes will be on a different roster next season. And 3, if you have to make your own snow for everything, you shouldn't be allowed to host the Winter Olympics.
I'm with you.
That starts this week.
I know. Geez, it's weird. The World Cup is also this year, I think, right, in December. It's a weird year. Weird times. Weird times. The Killian Hayes thing is, I'm to the point now where I do not think it's going to happen for him. And maybe, but like, as somebody who has an over 24.5 season wins bet and doesn't want to just see guys develop, like when Corey Joseph's in the game, they win so much more. I'm like, don't put Killian in the game. That's how you lose. I'm all about giving young players all the opportunity. I think you want it to happen throughout this season. Maybe he plays the Summer League one more time. You do one more year with him on the roster. He's a first-round pick. What you don't want to do is give up on a guy who develops somewhere else and becomes a decent player. But it's very clear also that they put him off the starting lineup because they want the ball in Cade Cunningham's hands too. When he was starting, Cade Cunningham was off the ball. That made zero sense. Andrew
Zawiza. Number one, as soon as I saw Bo Borowski, I thought MSU was going to lose, a la the BS flagrant one on Aaron Henry last year that swung the momentum. 2, give me Keon Coleman's layup over Steven Izzo's score. How dare you? 3, whenever someone says Hoggard, it reminds me of Larry David choking on a pubic hair. What? Bonus, Stafford goes to the Super Bowl in his first year away from the Lions.
So I do think, as much as people love Steven Izzo, and the loudest I have ever heard that building is a Steven Izzo, I don't even know if it was bucket, but entering the game, whatever it was, with the ball in his hands.
He's never scored, right?
I don't think he has, but it was like late in the game, with the ball in his hands, loudest I've ever heard that building. That said, I think fans right now want Keon Coleman and Malik Carr, especially Coleman, and that they would choose that over Steven Izzo.
Yeah, but we've seen the Keon Coleman. Let's get a Steven Izzo 3.
Okay.
Yeah. Now. Matt Boone, number 1, Keon Coleman will play minutes outside of just the minutes of the end of the games. 2, for all Dickinson does for Michigan, they will be better without him. 3, that game got at least 2 recruits to commit in the next week.
So I'll say this. One of the things that the pandemic took away, and obviously they're all recruiting by Zoom, but those are not insignificant atmospheres for football recruiting or basketball recruiting. And I think that's one thing that fans have to remember in terms of what their part is. Now, I'm not telling anybody who's uncomfortable in a stadium right now to go. I'm not telling people should. But, if you listen to, Amani Bates and Max Christie, these guys whose lasting impression of MSU basketball and both committed Max Christie went home that day after the Ohio State game in 2020, March 8, 2020, and basically like, I want to be there. Like, it was such an incredible atmosphere. And I think football recruits, I think there is you definitely, if you're Michigan State, you wanted that was the MSU atmosphere you want to show off. No question.
Mother Tucker, number 1, Gabe Brown travels more than American Airlines. 2, Keon's garbage time layup will set unreal expectations moving forward that he could start or really contribute on this team. 3, we won't stand for Juwan the Duck Howard's arrogance towards your question, Graham. We have your back.
Appreciate you, Mother Tucker. To the Keon unrealistic expectations, I do think the challenge is that physically, yeah, he could absolutely play. There's no question. But when you play late in a game that's decided in garbage time, so to speak, there is zero pressure to make good decisions or do things right. Like, if you come into a game that's yet to be decided, you can be all the athlete you want. If you're not in the right place defensively, if you're not running their offense, like you're not helping. And Izzo's going to go berserk. And like, I don't think he's been with the team like a week and a half. Like, it's just how much of what they're doing those guys really understand right now. I would guess is very little.
Ryan Allen, number 1, the word is Keon Coleman has been impressive in practice, and in my opinion, by the end of the season, he will be getting minutes, 8 to 10 minutes a game off the bench as an energy guy.
See what I did there? Yeah.
2, like I've said before, Malik Hall will be the Big Ten Player of the Year next season, but I'll say it this week. He will be at least first-team Big Ten next season if he doesn't go pro this year. Maybe it's a bad comp, but he's always reminded me of a poor man's Jason Tatum as a 3-level scorer.
Yeah, Jason Tatum is a little different player. He's more of a guard, and he's 6'10". Malik Hall, if he was 6'9", would be an NBA guy for real. And he's 6'7", 8-ish. If he was an inch, there's a difference. Now, I think he's a 4-year guy, but I don't know what he'll be in the pros. The more skill he shows, the more I think he's a guy who eventually could play in the NBA, but he, to me, seems like a guy who's going to need all the time at MSU to do it, or at least 4 years to do it. But he does have an array of skills, and when you're a little undersized, you have to have that, and I wouldn't be surprised. Like, if at this point he's shooting 54% from 3, and he's done it taken a fairly decent amount of threes this year. Like, if he's truly going to be a good outside shooter at a really high level, and also be able to create for his shot and be, I still question a little bit what he'll be in the NBA, but you don't always see it. I didn't see Draymond Green being what he is. You don't always see guys who are a little undersized exactly how they fit. It's still basketball, and if you can hit shots and make plays for people and you're a good teammate, you've got a shot. The Keon Coleman 8 to 10 minutes a game off the bench is an energy guy. Yep. I would be stunned this year.
Happening.
Absolutely stunned. But that could be his role a year from now.
Grob, number one, I want to agree with fellow poster Ryan Allen that Hoggard is the MSU's best point guard. 2, I want to thank Matt Charbonneau for writing an article on Hoggard. I'm sure he beat Graham by only minutes. And 3, want to thank the coaching staff for using my tips of getting away with half-court sets, running the break, and giving Hoggard more minutes.
Yeah, getting away from half-court sets. But, yeah, no, appreciate you, Grob. Grob has been all about AJ Hoggard all season, and done so even when Hoggard hasn't played well. So, but right now, he right now is MSU's best point. He's playing 2 of the last 3 games. He's been MSU's best point guard. There's no question.
Zach Marrier, number one, AJ Hoggard needs to be the starter the rest of the year. His energy and aggressiveness allows this MSU offense to be the best version of itself. Tyson Walker has had 3 full months to adapt and is still far too tentative to lead a top 10 team.
So I think, and here's a take, I think what A.J. Hoggard's doing is the best thing for Tyson Walker. Because A.J. Hoggard is playing more minutes right now, or at least 2 of the last 3 games than Walker. Now, Walker finished the Illinois game, and I don't think any, but I think having a guy who's, look, this guy's aggressive. He's really good. Like, you're going to have to reach this level to keep your role on this team. I think that's good. You see, I thought early in the second half, Walker was outstanding and helped spur the beginning of that run, and then Hoggard came and took it from there. And so Walker came back in and played pretty. I thought he played a great second half. He had a good step back there. I think this could help Walker because he knows he's got to bring it.
Paul McKenna, number one, I like Hoggard, but he goes from brilliant to looking like a guy who just watched some point guard videos on YouTube and is trying them out in his backyard. That's pretty good. 2, yes, little sister is a childish chant, and this take may be childish as well, but they fucking started it, okay? 3, Keon Coleman would start for Michigan. And bonus take, Tuck coming. I think that's how you do a bonus take.
Well done, Paul. Good takes. Yeah, I mean, I don't think you can trust Hoggard yet. I want to see Hoggard go to Maryland and go to Rutgers and play 2 good games. And if he does that,
but it's a hot take show, and we're talking about Keon Coleman getting 8 to 10 minutes.
Absolutely. So what do you think of the little sister chant? I mean, I get that it's sexist and it's childish.
Shit.
But
I didn't even think about that. See, you think about that stuff.
No, I just saw it on Twitter.
I hear that, and I don't think about it that way. I just think, it's just kind of cheesy. But, I mean, you're asking 18 to 19-year-old kids in an IS-zone to get hype about something. What do you expect? When I was 18 and 19, I would have said some dumb shit like that.
It did say some dumb shit like that
Absolutely.
all the time.
But I just don't get, everybody on Twitter is just like the king of cool. Like, you make the rules. Like little sister chant, that ain't it.
Half the things that I think that don't get tweeted get shopped around between the text chain with other sports writers and my wife. And I say, text or tweet? And if they say tweet, I know not to tweet it because they're hoping I'll do it and get myself into trouble.
Man, you have a focus group you do your tweets on?
Yeah, absolutely.
Jesus. Need to fire those people. Joel Voss, number one, it comes from the program. Gabe Brown shoved by a coach. Jones and diabetes chirping at Christie with less than a minute left. The Juwan Howard press conference. It's all ridiculous, but not surprising.
Suddenly, was it something with Gabe Brown and Sadie Washington, right? I don't know.
Yeah, I didn't see the actual play, but I did hear about it.
Yeah, I don't think it's. I mean, Sadie's a good dude. I don't think it's. I don't think there's anything. I don't think there's anything really there. You
want me to read the other 2, or you want?
Oh yeah, sorry.
2, this MSU football tweet. See pic of Tucker's natural cool. Has to be trolling Brian Kelly's recent shtick. Ooh. 3, not really a hot take, but it's always a blast to see MSU get back on track while making Michigan look like fools at the same time.
It is. What's amazing is you think about the last 2 hot take shows we've had versus the Illinois game that came before Twitter questions. Like, it is amazing if you beat Michigan like that at home.
Yeah,
you can have the screw up. It was nobody's mad about Illinois. Nobody in the world, in the MSU world, is mad about Illinois because that's what beating your rival does, and doing it emphatically. But also, I think, again, as I said, it wasn't just a one-off. I think there were things that looked like hope for this group that I thought were really important.
Jonathan B., number 1, a top reason MSU won was coaching. Juwan Howard's answer about Dickinson's game typifies the chasm between him and Izzo. 2, those football recruits will not have a more electric experience no matter what other schools they visit. And 3, cheesecake is the best dessert.
Cheesecake is outstanding.
It doesn't suck, but I don't know.
It's not the best dessert. I would definitely go with a groovy donut over cheesecake, although a cheesecake groovy donut is about where it's at. That would be my play. I will say this for cheesecake is a problem if you've got a cheesecake addiction.
Are you admitting something right now?
Well, I'm just saying we're
friends here. Everybody's a friend here, Graham. You can talk.
I was given a gift from the Cheesecake Factory once when I was in my 20s of a cheesecake, a full cheesecake. And I put it, it's one of those things you have a piece, you keep it in your freezer, right? Because it keeps for a while if you do that. Mm-hmm. If you're at an age, though, where you might come home to your apartment several times a week inebriated, it is not good to have a cheesecake in the freezer. Because the decisions you make when you start eating cheesecake, because cheesecake is something that sits in your stomach and feels awful if you eat too much of it, but you don't necessarily realize it while you're eating it, especially if you're hammered. So I would just say that's my warning on cheesecake. That would be. That's
a great warning.
Just for people, just putting that out there. So they.
Do you want to remind people they should also bring their pets in from the cold when it's cold outside?
and don't leave kids overheated in cars or pets either.
Crack a window.
Yeah,
got a kid in there.
It's a good idea. Top reason MSU won was coaching. I thought the staff had a really good game, and they haven't always. I didn't think they had a very good game at Illinois. I thought they did have a really good game, and it was riding Hoggard. It was the balance between the 2 point guards. It was, realizing that a guy like Mady Sissoko wasn't going to work in a key spot against Dickinson when Bingham was in foul trouble, and trusting Joey Hauser there and saying we're going with the veteran who's playing better. I mean, there were a lot of things I thought they did pretty well, and it was 2 3-point shots that missed in the first half by Bingham. And Izzo doesn't overreact. He just says, I need more from you. And early in the second half, Bingham's on the floor diving, and he's kissing him on the cheek. You know what I mean? Like, that's a team that's in a I thought they were in a pretty good place collectively. And apparently the halftime was pretty intense. But they get that from Izzo. They understand that. These guys can take that. It was a pretty good day for the coaching staff.
Steve Beckman, number 1, MSU would have won at Illinois if Cockburn played because he would have changed the game plans for both teams. 2, Stafford should parade the Lombardi Trophy through Detroit if he wins it. 3, the last 2 weekends of awesome NFL playoff games have made up for not having sports in 2020.
I know, it was a long 2020. I don't know, but it's been pretty good. It's been pretty good, though.
It's not a bad take, though.
It's been as good as ever.
Because yesterday morning, I messaged my friend Jordan. I'm like, these games are going to have to suck today, right? There's no way they can top last weekend's games. And they competed. It was great.
They did. And the one thing I was pissed off about is, I'm all, I love soccer. I watch as much soccer as I do anything. But having the U.S. play Canada opposite the AFC Championship game, don't be counterculture soccer. Don't be that. Come with me into the mainstream. Don't be that dude. Don't put I know Canada scheduled the game. It's their home game. It was on the turf in freaking Hamilton or wherever it was. But don't be that counterculture guy. You don't go up against that. You don't see nobody. Next thing you know, the U.S. is going to schedule a game, during the Super Bowl or something like that. Now, don't do that shit. I do believe MSU would have been better against Illinois if Kofi had played, but just.
If you put that soccer game on in primetime by itself, it's still not. It
does
get
well.
Ratings.
They do really well. The soccer games, the World Cup qualifying games do really, really well. They do.
Well, just put on 2 TVs.
Well, I did.
It's 2022.
I had my phone up on one and the game on the other.
All right. Carl Mylock, number 1, Hunter Dickinson runs like a sissy. 2, Jim Harbaugh leaves Michigan for the NFL and likely for the Vikings. 3, the 2023 football class will be the best star-wise in MSU history.
It has a chance. I mean, obviously, the standard is 2016, which was a disaster, which is 10. So you're saying, can they get more than 10 4-stars, or if they get a couple 5-stars, then you don't need the 10. But I'll be curious to see what they get out of this. We set the over under, right? What, at 7? We said was probably about the number. I feel that's probably about right.
Jeffrey Daly, number 1, Purdue's Jaden Ivey is one of my favorite non-MSU players in a while. 2, MSU blows one of the next two in a stupid way. And 3 Big Ten teams will make the Elite Eight.
I can absolutely see number 2 happen. First of all, Jaden Ivey, I like a lot of things about Purdue. One, what Jaden Ivey gives the Big Ten a top 5 pick this year. I think he helps make Purdue a really
hit that big shot, right? Game-winning 3.
Yeah, I think that was a big moment for Purdue because they had some games where they let that game get closer than it needed to be. But the 3 Big Ten teams make the Elite Eight, I think, has a real chance because I think Illinois and Purdue are both Elite Eight caliber teams for sure. And I think there are enough teams in the Big Ten that have a chance to get there that there's a good chance a third team could. And Michigan State is one of those teams that's in that next realm to me that with the right bracket and gets going. And if you got maybe 3 other teams with that sort of chance, then there's a chance you're going to do it.
Mr. Benjen, number 1, congrats Stafford on being the latest Lion to not be good enough for them and then go win a Super Bowl. Lomas, Hardings, Crockett, Sue, Compton, hashtag fuck the Fords. 2, the Harvard of Washtenaw County is the best insult name for Michigan. Skunk Bears second. Scum is the lamest. Hashtag they got creamed. 3, Bingham has really strong hands. Saved many possessions by ripping a rebound away and not losing it to a swipe. Hashtag deceptive strength.
I do agree with that on Bingham, and I think that's not just his hand. I think he's gotten stronger, and that's been
he's
noticeable
yoked.
this year. Yeah, I don't know. He'll never be yoked. But
Mr. Olympia.
But no, I think there's it's not just that he's more focused this year. He has improved his skills and his strength, and it's paid off in a big way.
Bo McJunkins, number 1, 25-year-old sophomore, 7'1" centers should shoot better than 50% from 2 feet away. 2, it's time to relax on the Juwan Howard hype. And 3, Tucker signs a top 10 class. And bonus, no one wants to hear from NFL wives and fiancés on social media or podcasts.
Well, you and I don't, but there are people who like Real Housewives of the NFL, right? Those don't they have a show or something like that?
Hell, I don't know.
I think there's.
I'm not even trying to be cool. I don't.
NBA wives or something like that. That stuff does well on.
Have you ever listened to one of the podcasts?
What from them? No,
from
I don't
Kelly
listen to
Stafford's?
that. I don't listen to that many podcasts, but I don't listen to
women's podcasts.
I'm amazed people listen to this podcast.
That is true.
I mean, so that's.
I will admit that, but I am really shocked that someone would sit through an hour of Kelly Stafford. Like Treese, I think would definitely listen.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. There are people.
Treese actually likes that kind of shit, but I mean, I don't know. I don't know how long she could take it either. I mean, really, like, what if Mahomes' fiance or wife got a podcast with her brother or with his brother? Andrew Gauthier, number 1. That might not have been the best stat line, but that was Joey Hauser's best game as a Spartan. 2, Dickinson puts up numbers, but he doesn't look like he has an NBA game. 3, Hoggard is a dog and could become a great point guard here. Seems like his ceiling / potential just keeps increasing.
There's no doubt. I mean, the conversations that I was having about him with even like guys like Brendan Quinn as we watch courtside were like, I just don't know. And that was a few weeks ago, and you start to see it now, and his unwavering. I wish I had that much confidence in myself. I wish I had AJ Hoggard's confidence in everything that I do.
You do when you wake up and you go play basketball in the morning.
Well, that's
true. You
true.
have more confidence than I've ever seen someone that's really not athletic.
Well, that's true. I'm worse than AJ Hoggard. Not a worse passer, but I'm worse in a lot of ways, and yet have the confidence.
Jason with the E. Number 1, Hoggard will be better than Tyson Walker. He already opens the floor and creates better than Tyson. If Hoggard started now, it wouldn't be a great loss. Walker isn't killing them from 3. 2, Stafford is winning the Super Bowl. The talk that he isn't one of the greats should stop. No one goes to Detroit and flourishes, just flashes of greatness because the ownership is garbage. And 3, Joey Hauser must be Tom Izzo's love child. I do not remember another player getting this much leash and this much 2 hearts. Tom Izzo crying over a player doing his job. If I were Malik Hall, I'd be in the portal yesterday, starting somewhere.
Quickly, if you have a love child that you need to pay for college and don't want your significant other to know about them, give Mark and Jay a call, 248-626-2000. or email them at info@northcoastwm.com. That's Mark and Jay at North Coast Wealth Management, 248-626-2000. These guys are strategic wealth managers, and they are fiduciaries for their clients. That means your interest always comes first. They're not going to try and get you in some hot product or investment trend. They're going to assess your specific situation and help you invest wisely based on your goals and needs, even if that's a love child. That's 248-626-2000 or info@northcoastwm.com. Let them know Mark and Jay. Let Mark and Jay know that the Graham and Jason sent you for a free consultation to see if they are a good fit for you. Let me get into we didn't answer that.
Yeah.
So a little bit of Joey Hauser. Hey, interesting, given how he played. I'll say this about Hall. Hall does not mind this, and Hall now at Illinois, I didn't think Hall played enough, and I do think they need to be careful that they don't. And there's certain matchups where Hauser doesn't work, and Bingham needs to be in there, and they need to be careful and always read that situation. But Malik Hall's not transferring. He's a captain. He's happy as can be. He's at the best place that can perhaps get him to the next level. Hall is not upset with what's going on with Joey Hauser.
Sorry, I was eating something. Levi Mundy. I thought I had more time. Number one, Caleb Houston looks like every auto-generated player in any video game. 2, if all these guys can peak at the right time, this MSU team is going to be tough in March. And 3, Sparty Nation, settle down. This Michigan team is not very good. Talented, yes. Good, no.
Yeah, I mean, look, we saw it last year with Michigan State where they rose up and had a few big games late in the year, and they had a couple games like at Indiana where they were, when they didn't exactly fit perfectly. But I think a big part of it is Michigan State's perimeter defense was really good. When Michigan shoots the ball, as a lot of teams are, they're pretty tough, and they do have enough talent. I'm very curious to see this Michigan season. I'm going to tell you right now, they will be going into the last weekend of the year, at least on the NCAA tournament bubble. I believe that.
Gavin Haas, number 1, I really want the Lions to take Malik Willis, the Liberty quarterback, in the second round. 2, this is the most fun MSU basketball team ever. And 3, MSU football gets multiple 5 medium stars in the 2023 class, starting with Dante Moore.
Most fun MSU basketball team ever. He's 15, so you go back.
He's got to be 16 by now.
No, 16 in February, I think. So, you go back to he probably barely remembers Draymond Green 9 years ago.
I love how that always amazes you, as if young Gavin doesn't have YouTube and
I don't know.
Can't Wikipedia shit.
It's true, but it's also the most entertaining.
His mind doesn't go anywhere else.
He is right though. There's often recency bias or youth bias, but most entertaining streak of NFL games ever. That was really, really, really damn good. That's the next. Sorry, that's Gluten Weasel. That's next. Sorry,
I've gambled on a couple Liberty games this year or last year. I saw Malik Willis. I don't know if he's a second rounder.
Gotcha.
I need to see some combine. Gluten Weasel. Number 1, this is the most entertaining streak of NFL games ever.
There we go.
Did you read the first one?
I accidentally read the first one, thinking it was Gavin.
2, the NFL is wasting all that momentum by having a bye week between the championship games and the Super Bowl. 3, Izzo's emotion is a sign he plans to retire within 2 years, maybe his last home win over Michigan.
I read it differently. I mean, look, he enjoys it so much. He's not going anywhere. I don't. He misses this. He wants this. He lives for this. He would miss the competition too much. He, to me, does not look like a guy. He looks like in a good place who wants this run to end. And it was interesting this summer. I was in it was myself and a few of the other writers in his office for a little bit, and he talked about the age of Roy Williams and the age of Mike Krzyzewski. And those guys are all about 6 years older than him, and sort of seeing that as okay, maybe that's the time that you start to feel it. He doesn't feel that. He feels as good as he has in a while, and so I would think in his head he's probably looking at least at that timeline.
Spartan 18770, number 1, the Rams should be prohibited from playing in the Super Bowl, and the team taken from the city. How the hell do you host the NFC Championship game and half the crowd is the 49er fans? Pathetic. 2, never have I seen an institution taking so many hits in a short period of time. President fired for sexual scandal. Football coach whoring for an NFL job. A basketball team struggling to make the NIT. Hockey team being investigated on numerous incidents. Who's got it better is what he meant to say. 3, how long before Izzo shows up for a game in a bathrobe and slippers?
I don't know what that means.
He's very confident, and therefore he's just going to show up in a bathroom.
I see. Yeah, it's been a rough stretch for Michigan. The hockey thing is weird too, with the whole NCAA tournament.
Haven't heard about it.
COVID. Yeah, apparently faking certain COVID test results or something like that.
I go to ESPN.com every day. I don't see any of these.
Look, I mean, the Rams moved out of St. Louis, and that's where they had built their fan base, and they still had a good fan base in LA.
But how do you have to use a silent count at home?
Yeah,
that's insanity.
It was not great.
Why do they have a team in LA? It's crazy.
They have 2 teams, and the Chargers should be in San Diego.
Right. This is ridiculous.
Yeah, they have even fewer fans. I don't even know if they could sell the place out if if the Chargers played the Rams.
Let's move to San Diego. Franco, number 1, people who have money on a game bitch and complain about bad non-calls, etc. Too much. Sorry about that. 2, good for Stafford. 3, Tuck coming.
Yeah, no, there's no question that you see the game in a different light when you got money in it.
I can read the tweet and see if it's game.
Yeah.
Not even my tweet, right?
Yeah.
You're like, oh, that's gambling related. I just love that, though. It's therapeutic. Ken Chu, number 1, someday Russell Wilson will join the staff at MSU. Okay. 2, it turns out the gambling problem hotline will not help you with your bets. 3, happy Lunar New Year, year of the tiger.
Can you imagine calling me like, so I'm looking at 4 games this week.
Which one of these games do you think is the most degenerate of the 4?
Yeah. No, have you ever called the gambling hotline?
I have never called a gambling hotline. I've called a gambling when I was 15. I called a number that I thought, because I'd always call like radio shows, like 11:30 down in Detroit and all that shit. And I thought I saw a number flash up, and these guys were talking about picks. So I'm like, oh, I thought you call in and you talk about games. Well, no, the guy realized that I was 15 years old, and it was like a gambling, where they sell their picks. So he had to inform me. I was like, oh. I was like, yeah, dude, I'm 15. He's like, what?
You told him you were 15?
Yeah, I didn't know, because he was like, well, what can I do for you? I'm like, I don't know. I thought you want to talk about this weekend's games. Let's do it. And he's like, yeah. So we started talking and getting into the lines. I'm like, well, I don't have $75 if I'm 15. He's like, what?
Another story we're telling, presented by our friends at Midtown Brewing Company, 402 South Washington Avenue in downtown Lansing. If you're looking for a place for dinner after work, for a drink after work, for a date night, I'm telling you, Midtown is this cozy, spacious vibe. You feel like you have your own space, and yet it is one of the best places in winter to feel like it's just a great vibe. Terrific menu and drink selection as well. That's Midtown Brewing Company, 402 South Washington Avenue in downtown Lansing.
What's up with number 1 though? The Russell Wilson.
I don't know what that's about. I don't know. That's interesting.
Need to elaborate a little bit.
Yes. Yeah.
All right. On to everybody's favorite Teresa's weekend high notes. Number 1, slow your roll, Applebee's. You aren't Cheers. 2, so glad the Bengals won, but brown and orange are the worst team colors in the NFL.
Thank you, Teresa.
Why are you thanking her for that?
I agree.
Oh. 3, I was today years old when I learned the quarterback gives the fan signs to shut the fuck up before a play. Thanks.
So
I told her about, when the guy when they come up to the under the snap there, and he looks at the crowd, the quarterback will wave the fans down. She didn't know that meant to quiet it down.
Were these grab the notebook takes?
No, these are off the top of the head. Yeah, like so Jay-Z.
I mean, people were talking about Applebee's, and I know they had something happen near halftime too, where you had this situation where these halftime shows going on, and you can't hear the actual broadcast.
What a shame.
Yeah,
you missed out on a lot.
Yeah, well, yeah. The
Phil Simms hot takes,
awful. But what was the Applebee's thing?
Applebee's has started using the Cheers theme song, and it pisses me off because I think of Cheers, I think of the show, obviously, and a bar that people want to go to, and Applebee's should just continue to be fucking Applebee's and stop acting like you're the bar in town people want to go to.
Cheers was one of the more influential. Like when I look at certain things, the show Friends, when I was like 14 and that started, that made me want to have like a cool apartment in a city on my own, because you're 14 too. You're thinking, cool, how long will it be? And then also when I remember Cheers, even when I was like first in college in Chicago, it was like, we have to find our bar. Like that was based on growing up around Cheers. Like that's what you did. You found your bar. And that was always,
And that was Applebee's.
Yeah.
Half off apps.
Only in Freeport, Illinois.
Mike Scott, number 1, as the deepest MSU team in some time, that depth and need to play. So many guys will be the cause of a loss before the Sweet 16. 2, your new Google search music should be the Knight Rider theme. 3, Pistons won't trade Jeremy Grant, to my chagrin. And 4, USA soccer is ass.
That was a tough loss to Canada. They dominated the game, but it was, yeah. And first of all, playing in Canada and outdoors in January on turf is that's also ass. If you ask me, there's an absolute possible scenario where Michigan State has the Illinois game in the first or second round of the NCAA tournament and doesn't get to the Sweet 16 because of its not because of its depth so much as it doesn't have people it can trust to always come through. I have a feeling maybe by the time you get there, Malik Hall and Max Christie are those guys, but maybe not.
And as far as what do you think about using the Knight Rider theme?
Do you have the Knight Rider theme?
I was just, well, it's because there's an ad playing, so I was trying to, that was me stretching. I kind of dig it, though.
It's not bad. Definitely Hoff related.
Would it get us kicked off?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, we'll do it. Where are we at here? Mike Scott, Scotty Runks. Number 1, Izzo addressed my question. Does he coaches turnovers? Heck, we'll still ask, does he coach turnovers? Because it's becoming as consistent as rebounding. 2, Mason Greenwood, what a fiasco. 3, so the Lions had a Super Bowl quarterback the whole time. What would a fly in the Ford mansion say if it could talk?
What do you think the Fords are actually saying right now about that whole deal?
I just think that they're so out of the loop, and they think, obviously, getting booed at halftime, I think, opened the eyes of Sheila Hamp Ford, right, to understand that the fans, what they really think of them. But I think just because they put a team out there, I honestly think the Fords think the fans love them for putting a team out there. I think they're oblivious to the outside talk of how fans really feel about them. Right? Because why else would she come out and address the team before talking about Kelvin? She comes out with Kelvin Johnson and then gives a speech. Obviously, you don't read a room very well. You don't know what the fans are really thinking if you do that.
And by the way, Mason Greenwood is the Manchester United player who's
what did he do?
Perhaps a rape charge. So we'll see. He's being investigated.
I would say that's a fiasco.
Yeah.
Couch on fire. Number 1, so yes, as a fan, I'm very happy with the MSU-Michigan result, but come on. MSU should be 9-0 and a lock for 15-5 or better. Northwestern is ass. 2, good for Stafford. He did his seasons in hell, and yes, does Detroit ever get a call? I don't need to wait for an answer. And 3, Cade Cunningham making Couch's pick look good.
I'm telling you that over 24.5 isn't done yet. I'm just
that ticket was half on fire.
It was, and there were some other people who played it with me that I'm very pleased aren't toast. But it is not. Look, if they went 7-9 in January and they needed to go 13-20 the rest of the way, it's very plausible. Especially when you get late in the year and some teams. I don't think this is a team with guys still playing for roles. I think this is a team that's going to pick up some games in that last month of the season when good teams are resting guys and other things. I think
too many teams that don't give a shit.
That's why. Yeah.
Mojo Jojo. Number 1, after this music video of Brian Kelly spinning and dancing with recruit Danny Lewis, I don't see how Kelly doesn't crash and burn at LSU. 2, Dan Dockich went even further into Crazy Town this week. And 3, my non-sports girlfriend referred to the Goff Stafford trade as a flip-flop, which is how it should always be referenced henceforth.
Flip-flop.
It's a terrible flip-flop.
It was a terrible flip-flop, yeah.
I don't know why.
I missed the Dockich thing. What did he do? Something?
Dockich was talking shit to a fan base, and then the fan base had a picture of a gentleman in a wheelchair. He's like, what school was it? Someone will tell me. But anyway, so he posted a picture about – someone said something about what the fans look like, Indiana fans look like, I think, and then he tweeted out this picture of the handicapped kid, and everybody's like, dude, what the fuck? Like, it's not funny.
Yeah.
So then he had to half-ass it. It was one of the worst apologies ever.
Don't bring
and his general manager of the radio station, which I'm surprised still exists, but had to come out and apologize, and then Dockich gave, like, one of the most half-ass apologies.
Which does not surprise me.
Yeah. where are we at? Gideon?
Yep.
Gideon, number one, can you believe the big Michigan coaching news? They're actually firing Brady Hoke. Sent through Internet Explorer, but seriously, Harbaugh needs to hurry his ass up. Isn't the rumor mill hurting recruiting? 2, just because the Bengals got a pick doesn't mean the NFL overtime rules aren't still garbage. I personally like the college rules set, but I understand the flaws with extending play too long.
Yeah, the overtime rule still sucks. It worked out in that game, but it would have played even if they changed the rules to the point that each team got a chance to match each other. You could do a version of the college game in the NFL. You could either do a timed quarter, which is fine, or just do the version of the college game but do it NFL style. In other words, the whole field. Each team, you get a chance to match each other, and that's what all it is.
Could you have different rules for the playoffs?
Yes, totally, and I think that would be fine too. I even
keep this bullshit for the regular season.
You could even get rid of overtime in the regular season. I mean, teams freaking call it a tie.
Sunshine Spartan, number 1, streaming games is ass between the delay and the quality. 2, MSU will still win the Big Ten. And 3, Ozark is so good. If you have Netflix, definitely check it out.
You watch Ozark?
Made it 3 episodes.
Okay. I've not.
I don't know.
Not done Ozark. By the way, to the previous question about will this hurt recruiting? I mean, it can't go on forever. But with the recruiting class being earlier now, the signing day, most of your guys are signed by December. So if you're gonna flirt, this is the time to do it with the NFL. The streaming. Look, it sucks compared to cable. It's just not as good. And then every once in a while, the internet craps out, and I've got to reboot shit. And yeah, it sucks. It's not. If you enjoy quality, cable is the way to go.
Clint Bainey, number 1, quarterbacks. I should hate being a Spartan and Lions fan, but I can't because they are so fucking good. Brett Favre, Jim McMahon, Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, and Fran Tarkenton. 2, pet peeve. Global warmist preachers who fly in Learjets. Just enjoy the threesome at 40,000 feet, Leonardo, and shut the fuck up. All right. AJ Hoggard with a double-double on Saturday. Go with your bad self, AJ. And bonus take, best hands in East Lansing from
best bands.
88-92. The Huntoons, Verve Pipe, Water for the Pool, and the Groove Spoon in that order.
Verve Pipe Freshman, I tell you that I belted that song out a few times.
Yeah,
there's no doubt about that. Back in the day,
with tears streaming down your cheeks.
There are quarterbacks though that you do love to like. I remember as a Lions fan growing up, it was 3rd and 8, and Brett Favre had the ball, being like, "Motherfucker, he's gonna get it." You know, and like why can't the Lions have a quarterback who you feel like is gonna get it on 3rd and 8? And that's the thing about Stafford. He was the first guy in my lifetime that I actually felt that about at certain times. Now, not always did they have an offense, not always was the team any good, but there were years where I actually felt like, hey, they might pick this up. But that's what you got to have, that feeling that you're going to get this because you got the guy.
Neurotic Pants, number 1, MSU football may not finish 11-2 next year, but I am convinced they will again exceed expectations, tuck recruits, and motivates. 2, did shit-stain Harbaugh have a good year, or has his program arrived? Time will tell. 3, let fans trash talk. Superior athletes have the game itself.
It's all, yeah. Well, I mean, it's a very good point to think about that like that. You got something to, if you're a player, you get to do it on the court. Fans, we got nothing else. The idea, the way I feel about next MSU football season has definitely changed since the offseason began. It's been a good offseason. We'll see if they still have all the same character traits. But in terms of who they've added in the transfer portal and who's coming back, there's no doubt that I definitely think they've got a chance to be quite good again. I think the schedule's tough, but not any worse than this year. The early Ohio State game is the thing that I think is going to be interesting. How they compete in that game and how they handle whatever the result is.
Spawn of Stout sponsors. Number 1, when Graham Stout isn't drinking sweat off Walker's balls. Or enjoying a stout beer at Midtown Brewing Company, he'll stop channeling his Gus Macker fantasies and acknowledge Hoggard is the best point guard who will decide how long the dance is. 2, boy, college refs are ass, and whatever I see Hunter Dickinson lower a shoulder or throw his groovy donuts built ass into drawing a foul, all I want to do is get a plate of sushi and beer at Front 43 Neighborhood Pub across from Frandor Mall. It's my favorite place to drink U of M tears. And 3, when I want a place to bet on the Vikings giving Harbaugh the chance to make a bad team worse, I used my Firekeepers iCasino Sportsbook app and used the change from my trip from my friends at Hawaii Spa to make cash fast.
Appreciate you, Spawn of Stout sponsors.
That was great. Hans Jurgen. Number 1, Hunter Dickinson's nickname should be T-Rex for his short arms and freakish height. 2, is Brady retired or not? And 3, I forgot my third hot take. Why won't Twitter allow you to go back and edit your tweets? I have a lot of misspellings and grammatical mistakes.
You can do a thing now. There's something you can pay like $2.99 a month or something. Or maybe it's $2.99 once. I forget what it is. My wife signed up for it, and there's certain. It's not enough editing capabilities. Like, to me, if there was a little more, that I would definitely pay for. A lot of Hunter Dickinson hate. Like, I get that, he's the other team's center, but he's still a pretty good player. Like, Michigan State would gladly have Hunter Dickinson on their team. They would gladly take it. Nobody, he scores with his left hand pretty damn well.
Yeah. Jake Hawkins, number 1, I like Pat Mahomes, but damn, where was the same aggression in the second half from the Chiefs as there was in the first? Got frustrated when he was trying to scramble, but looked like he was dancing around. I'm worrying he'll turn out like his fellow State Farm pal Rodgers with 1 title. 2, great introduction from Tom Cruise before the AFC Championship game. One thing I'll never forgive 2022 for is delaying the premiere of the new Top Gun movie. Thank God. Thank God that long-awaited sequel is coming out in May.
Love you, Jake.
He's the best. 3, about time we saw a dominant performance from MSU basketball. Even better against your in-state rival. Even Keon Coleman got a bucket. Ian Eagle is so much better at announcing he should do MSU games when CBS broadcasts them. Bonus. Petition the NCAA to get rid of the early National Football Signing Day in December and have it on first Wednesday in February like it is. And good luck to Coach Mel Tucker and staff on trying to make any more additions this week.
I would do it even later. I would have it so there was one signing day, and it was like in March. And you had a dead period between the end of the season and the national championship game, and then you had a recruiting period. Because I just feel like it's only fair for the kids to have all the information. And I would have maybe one early signing period in August that they could do if they wanted, but they could get out of it if a coach left or something like that. I think would be the way to go.
Upper Deck Jerk Guy to wrap these up. Number 1, sure, there are complex mathematical models for determining point spreads, but sports gambling is just random. 2, college basketball officiating is god-awful, and refs should have to give post-game pressers.
I would love that.
3, Mel Tucker will be the first black head coach to win a FBS national championship.
It's going to be interesting to watch this road with Tucker. He's become a beloved figure on Michigan State's campus. I think hope is as high as I've seen it in a long, long time. And there's good reasons for it. It's been about as good a start as you can possibly do. I mean, the first year was what it was. I think I'm very curious to see year 2. And I'm very curious to see what and how he does when this program hits some adversity on its ascension, right? Because there's going to be a time where it doesn't go as smooth. And look, there was this year, and to his credit, they got it together at the end. The Penn State game, I thought, was a great response. The bowl game, a great response when things weren't necessarily easy. Great stuff, as always. We appreciate all of you guys for making our show, for taking part. Literally couldn't do it without you. Thanks to SkyMint. Go to skymint.com for location information and specials. There are 3 in the Lansing area. There's Grand Rapids, Kalamazoo, Ann Arbor. Chances are you live within half an hour of one. And thanks, of course, to Mark and Jay at North Coast Wealth Management. You can give Mark and Jay a call. That's 248-626-2000, 248-626-2000, or email them at info@northcoastwm. Let Mark and Jay know at North Coast Wealth Management that Jason and Graham sent you. Get a free consultation. See if they're the right fit for you. Also, thanks to Midtown Brewing Company. We'll be back if my flight comes back Wednesday night. That's the plan if I'm able to get back from the D.C.